What I'm here to talk about today is talent management and rethinking that. So that's something that Fuel 50 as an organisation is super passionate about. It's our mission in life to upend and disrupt the career experience for employees, to put employees in the driving seat in terms of owning their own performance, owning their own contributions to the organisation and owning their own destiny. And so we think it's possible in time to start to rethink the whole talent management experience. The world of work has been disrupted. It's already happened. It's here. We're seeing it right now. Josh Berson's been predicting that in the next 5 years there's going to be significant disruption across the entire workforce, with 85% of organisations anticipating disruption. So the reality is for your employees is that we need more agility from your employees. They need to respond to this changed world that we're expecting. So engagement and career opportunities become more front of mind for your employees than ever before. And CEB are just about to put out a piece of research that I was privileged to hear of a couple of weeks back. And what they're talking about is that if you're wanting cultural transformation in your organisation, what they're saying is that you need to lead with the career development proposition, so that there's a strong what's in it for me personally for your employees to follow and to lead that transformation. So I want to talk a little bit more about that. But not only that, but the 2020 Talent Challenge is that the work experience has changed dramatically. And again, I'm quoting CEB with this research. But in my dad's day, and my father, we were talking about him over lunch, but he spent the most significant parts of his education in a prison camp from the ages of 10 to 15, so disrupted education, very bright, capable man, but no education. So he basically started at the factory floor, worked his way up, 40 years later, he was the production manager. Every 2 years, a promotion, there was some staircase kind of promotional experience for him. So there was vertical, and that's back in the old days, that's last century. Today's experience for the millennials and for most of us is much more about longer runs and steeper rises. So the longer runs are more about more time at the coalface, more time at the front line, no vertical, no positional change, and therefore when there is career acceleration or a vertical, people are often unprepared for that steeper rise, and there's career derailment as a consequence. So our challenge that we're working with many of the organisations that we're partnering with is how do we design learning experiences, stretch assignments, career momentum and acceleration during those longer runs so that people have that sense of career growth that they're hungry for. What we're finding now though is put any two of us in the same job, we will not do the same things. We could have the same title, the same deliverables, but we will not do the same thing because we have different talents and abilities. So therefore, we need to start to think about our workforce in a fresh way. So what are the talents and capabilities that you've got within your workforce? Our own research has shown us that 75% of people believe that they can contribute more to their organisation. You just need to find out what are those talents and contributions that those people have. So it's become basically a latent talent that's sitting within your workforce. So we need to think about work in a different way. We need to think about it in smaller bites, and that's across the entire talent spectrum. So in terms of how we're designing work, people are going to be working in gigs and projects and tasks. They're going to be recombining in teams in new ways constantly with that agility. So therefore, we also need that agility in our workforce. We also need the agility in the way that we're delivering learning to employees. So rather than classroom learning that we might have sent them off for an MBA is no longer relevant. We need to be delivering learning that is experiential, in the moment, just in time. So Fuel 50 is very much around rethinking the talent management experience. So old world was process automation. HR technology was just taking some paper-based processes and putting them online. Second generation was a better user experience and more inclusive in its experience, but we're really firmly focused on third generation HR technology, which is about talent enablement. So we're really focused on how do we enable your employees to own their own performance and growth? How do we deliver actual performance uplifts into the business? And that, we believe, starts with a bottom-up approach, so starting with your employees. So we're upending the old model, which is, instead of top-down, it's bottom-up, firmly bottom-up. And then on the other axis, we've got return on investment. And for us, it's really thinking about what's the impact that we're delivering. What are those success metrics that are so important for us to measure? So as a business, we don't start anything unless we can define some outcomes and some measurements that are actually going to impact and deliver that performance uplift. So old world, the performance rating game, people have become very cynical about that process. Anne and I, my colleague, also called Anne, very conveniently, we're at a conference a couple of weeks back, and we heard Intel speaking, and they were sharing that they surveyed their employees across the organisation, from across all levels, around how they felt about their performance management experience. And over 80% of their workforce were actively annoyed, and I don't think that was the word he used, by the performance management system. So not only was it not delivering performance uplifts and performance gains, but it was actually holding people back. It was creating drag and also actively annoying people during that cycle. So there's got to be a better way of doing this. I want to pick up on Dory's point about the talent matrix. So performance versus potential, only focusing on your top right and putting people up into the top right and then really investing in those people with accelerate programs and high potential programs, that is not going to work today. And I just want to carry on with a personal story to follow on your example. So as we were building our career agility exercise and tool, we surveyed a huge population of people, but one person stood out for me, and she was a CHRO. She had 5 children under 5, and she was doing an MBA. And that woman was the most accelerate, aspirational, ambitious person that I came across in our survey. Her results were like off the spectrum. So we should not be assuming about what people want. So we think we need to upend this performance versus potential somewhat, and then add in to the equation aspiration. So what are the aspirations of those people? People in the top right, you could be investing in people that don't want what you want for them. So it's absolutely critical that you start to think about the aspirational piece of people that are on that talent matrix. And not only that, but if we go back to old world, performance versus potential, most of us can evaluate performance, right? That's visible, it's tangible. How are we evaluating potential? We could not get agreement on that. If you're getting a manager to rate both performance and potential, of course it's going to be confounded. It's not a clear measure. It's the same person measuring the same things. Psychologists cannot agree on what we mean by potential or how to measure it, or what potential for what becomes the big question. So very confounded. So what we're thinking about is upending that and thinking about your entire workforce and thinking about performance versus passion. So performance, what am I good at? What am I doing when I'm really having fun at work, when I'm at my best and really leveraging my potential? What am I actually doing as an individual? And passion, what do I love to do? That becomes my talent sweet spot. That's when I'm at my best, I'm at my most valuable to the business. Sitting beyond that, we've still got marketable talent, so that's things that I'm really good at, to the top left there. They're assets that I have, and they may be really visible to the organisation, but they may not be passionate about it. And my investment talents are over there, things that I really love and want to learn about and want to grow. And if I continue to invest in those things, they will hit my talent sweet spot and I'll become more valuable and marketable. So this kind of thinking into the talent management system can mean that you've got a more talent and capability within your organisation to leverage and to mine and to optimise in terms of that talent fit of individuals to organisational requirements. So what we're talking about is also upending the old EVP, employee value proposition. And what we're talking about is personalised value propositions or personalised career value propositions. So how do I find out what each and every employee wants, and then how am I delivering a proposition that's going to engage and retain that person? So we look at 3 things. We start with values. So what's important to me at work? What are my fundamentals? What are my non-negotiables to me as a person? That's my values. And also my values around my work experience. Everyone will be valuing something different from the work experience. And if we can find out what those fundamental values or engages are for each employee, we can craft an employment experience that matches to their wants and needs. Talents, I've already talked about that, so what do I love to do and what am I good at? And then passions, what is it that I'm most excited to learn and what kind of work suits me best? So we look at those 3 inputs and start to craft a customized career experience for each and every employee. And it supports a leader to deliver a quality conversation with each and every employee around these facets. So Fuel 50 is career pathing, but we're also a talent enablement marketplace. So I think, is it Kevin is talking tomorrow about enablement, and I think in cultural enablement. So I think we're on the same page there as to needing to rethink these words. Performance management and talent management is very much a top-down kind of mentality. We need to rethink it and talk about enablement as opposed to management. So what we're doing with our clients is thinking about what's the pathing proposition for every employee. How do we facilitate gig assignments and stretch projects and stretch coaching and learning for employees? Continuous feedback. So if an employee is owning their own growth, how are they getting feedback on how they're tracking with their growth? Stretch coaching, and also helping leaders deliver those quality conversations. So it's actually about a continuous career growth proposition across the entire talent life cycle. So what that looks like, I couldn't be bold enough to do an actual demo here today, but if we're meeting with you, we'd love to show you the tool. But basically, it's interactive, gamified experience for your employees to identify their values, to identify their talent sweet spot, to think about their career agility and their pathways that suits them. So those are interactive exercises that define a pathway for an employee. Those inputs are then matched to a personalized pathway. So we're making those static PDFs and Excel sheets that exist in your, somewhere on your intranet that are very confusing to employees. We're making these personalized so an employee can see, if I could do anything at work, what would that look like? Maybe I do fancy myself in marketing or as the CFO. What might be my pathway to that? And what's my reality check around that, even more importantly? So we're doing a personalized pathway with your top matches. Everyone wants to know what they could do if they could do anything. I always go in and play with the system myself and fancy myself as a CHRO, and I come back with a massive reality check. The best score I've managed to achieve is a 60% match, and it's because I'm failing on risk management and compliance and governance. It's like, oh, maybe I don't really want to do that after all. So I have reframed it to the change management specialist, and I'm getting a better match, I'll let you know. But I can still need to see what my learning pathway is. So we really help employees find out what those lateral pathways are, what their learning pathway is, so that they're owning their future with your organization. Not only that, we think it's really important that we also support your leaders. It's like a 3-legged stool, right? So if you power up your employees to own their future and to get all motivated about their pathway within the organization, but if you don't also support your leaders, that stool is going to fall over. So to us, that 3-legged stool includes 3 things. So number 1, the employee ownership. Number 2, leader enablement and supporting them to deliver those critical growth conversations. And then thirdly, your execution, the organizational execution about how do you build out a career growth mindset that's going to transform the organization. And how do we support you with identifying for this new world? So stretch assignments, stretch coaches. Everyone can be a stretch coach within your business. We can all teach each other something. I learned something from Henry today. So if we can enable employees to share those learnings in micro bites, it's going to be very efficient and cost effective for you as an organization. Not only that, but managers and leaders can also find people that have got a talent fit for their requirements. Then the final part of the equation is around the growth experience, getting feedback. How am I actually tracking? I fancy myself as a CHRO. I've identified some competencies that I have, but I need to validate my own view with my peers and my manager and do that constantly. So I've got a growth tracking across an entire year. So that's some of a really quick overview about what we do and what we're passionate about at Fuel 50. So we want you to join our talent revolution. We'd love you to learn more. Thank you, everyone.